Well, hello everyone. How you guys doing? Hopefully you're having a wonderful day. And today we are here with another Fanatics Weekly Review where I go through the top 100 soccer items over on their auction block. Today, a stormy day here in Ohio, and so the lighting isn't the best. We'll just start here on the page and we'll go ahead and get on into it. If you hear some rain and thunder throughout, make of it what you will. We fight through the elements here to bring the weekly review, and we'll do just that. Definitely a very interesting week, as many of these have been, but certainly this one as well. So let's go ahead and get started here. It is really blowing, but let me go ahead and get going. So we start with an instantaneous Pele. We've seen a lot of these run. This is a set with just tons of different Peles in it. We have a Heinerle Yashin and a 1 going for nearly 100. Looks like a pretty good one, at least from the front. I would suspect the back is not so nice, but nonetheless. Sicker Verlag from 63, one of the more gettable early Eusebios, which goes for about 100 as well. Keeping it moving, we've seen a lot of these 42 Glorietas as of late. This is a post-playing career Pedro Sea that goes for about $100 in a PSA 3. Next to it, we got a Menga. We have a PSA 10 Karim Benzema, which these almost always have that little imperfection on the back, which many think indicate fakes, but, it's just hard to tell. So many of these got graded, they all look the same with the same imperfection, and so many of them were PSA 10s to a much larger degree than ever seen before, so that's sort of what people have made of it. Keeping it moving, a Erling Haaland Leaf 1 of 1 for barely $100. Shout out to Leaf on that. Beyond just being a Leaf, it's just a rough-looking card too. And they don't hide the lack of licensing at all. Beyond that, a promo Cruyff here from 1969 going for 108. We have a Monday Chromo Messi PSA 9 for $108. Messi rookies have been going a lot lately. I feel like the second and third year hasn't really done a whole lot, which, it kind of makes sense, I guess, from the perspective of a lot of people probably aren't putting together runs yet, and a lot of the influx it feels like we've seen of Messi demand is coming from outside the space, so they're sort of focused on the bigger and better cards, which, I get. In this row, a Flawless Ramirez goes for 110 out of 5. We have a Lamine Yamal foil, Rainbow foil out of 150 from Inception, going for 117. A Beckenbauer TTT for 117 as well. These have been pretty beaten up lately, I would say, and this is about where they've lingered. PSA 1s also have been around this price, so I don't think the half grade got it much value. Above that, a Messi sticker from 2010 that we've seen a good bit of. PSA 9 goes for 117. We've got a Baines Shield here of Swindon Town Rangers for 120. We have a Greeling Auto Sifling here that goes for 126 from 1930. Above it, a Sicker Verlag Pele for 126, a Boys Magazine J Brain for 126 as well. This Plauber Alcantara here in a PSA 2 MK goes for 132. The Plaubers are pretty gettable out of Spain, but they do have a lot of nice imagery. This one as well. I did look at it. I think the back was pretty marked up, so the MK is certainly warranted. Beyond that, these Bobby Charltons have moved up a good bit. This is a PSA 9. You always have to check the back if you're interested in these to make sure that the back is inverted. This one is, as you can see here, it's inverted left to right, upside down. It's the whole deal. If these look normal, then that means they're 59. And so sometimes you'll see those mislabeled. PSA 9 Cadet Charltons, as you can see here, 132, 96, 120, 85, 117. The all-time low is about 45 to 65. I would guess the 45 was mislabeled, so that's probably not accurate. I would say the low is probably around 60 to 70 at times for legitimate inverted backs, and we're looking at about 130 to 140 on auction here, so that's about double the price there from the low. Beyond that, a Figo Monday Chromo PSA 10 from 1995, there you go, 132 on that one. Monday Chromo 2010 PSA 9 Messi goes for 138. I do find it interesting when the mid-career, well, I say mid-career, it's still like mid-early-ish career, goes for more than like a 2006, 2005, 2007, but nonetheless, that goes for 138. I think we'll see more examples of that as we go. PSA 4 Calciatore Diego Maradona for 138. Always love this sticker, one of my favorites from the 80s for him, just in terms of look. There are certainly rarer ones out there, but this is always a favorite of mine. You have the Aficionado Artist Press Proof, or just proof bronze out of 49, Lionel Messi in a 7 that goes for 138. A 2006 Zinedine Zidane PSA 10. These have been, the stars from 2006 in a PSA 10 generally are like 100 to 150, maybe a little higher at times. This one is well within that range there for Zidane. Your choice between Lamine Yamal's, I'd probably take the PSA 9 of the Mega Cracks compared to a Topps Now BGS 10 Black Label. I always talk about the Black Labels and how they're much more common. I'm Topps Now, Panini Instant, all that good stuff. A PSA 2 Puskás from the Heinerle set. Goes for 150, which, for me, I mean, this is always like a really legendary, iconic. I'm going to use the word. Some people like it, some people don't. I feel fine with the iconic phrase, especially with this image. This image is certainly one you see a lot, even back in the day. I'm pretty sure this was like blown up at his funeral, so it's a pretty legendary one, I would say. And the Heinerle set's got a lot of those types of images in there. Another Lamine Yamal Black Label, as I mentioned, those are much more common. Here we have a Pottinger Grayling from 1930, still connected here, PSA 3.5 for 156. Another Monday Chromo Messi in a 9 for 162. This Wesley Sneijder PSA 10 for 162. I don't know about this one, but we'll see. I want to say it was a Robin that was doing fairly well in comparison to its comps in the past. So I would imagine this did as well, but I didn't check, so I could just be lying. Pop 1 of 10, so it's not all that common in this grade. Next to it, you got a couple Dolars here in PSA 2s. I've seen Dolars go as low as like grading price, so I would imagine that these are somewhat notable players, but certainly not all that notable because, some of the more notable players can fetch many hundreds, if not, many thousands at times. So notable names to some extent, but I can't really tell you to what extent. Only 8 watchers there, which would sort of indicate similar, sort of ideology. A manga Phil Foden, smack dab in between a Helmchen from 1934 and a Panini 2002 Iniesta. This is a rookie of his, one of the more desirable, not the most rare, but close to it. This in a PSA 9 goes for 170, which certainly is up from where those have been at the low. I feel like I saw one go on eBay for like 70 or 80 bucks at one point, so those have rebounded a little bit here. The Helmchen is not, well, I think it's an all-time high for this card. I don't think we have any real sales of it. As you'll see here, he has 1930 Greelings, and his Koenigs sometimes sell for a good penny. So the highest prices for him generally are about 300 bucks. And this one comes in close to 2, so certainly a notable item for him, despite the 8 watchers there. Stanley Matthews PSA 8 of the Popular Footballers goes for 180. I did check that. I don't know if I kept it in the sales data. I did. So this one's actually at a not all-time low, because I think in like 2019 it was lower, back pre-boom. But even pre-boom, I'm pretty sure it was a respectable price. Yeah, like 143 here, and it's only at 180 now, which, given how many sort of vintage collectors have been gained throughout this time, is pretty disappointing, I would say, but it also speaks to the availability of English pre-war items in general. Of course, some are much more rare than others, so it's not a universal thing, but just in comparison to other areas of the world, England is much more available. Next to it, this felt like a pretty good price, given that it's finest, it's out of 50. It is PSA 10, so that certainly helps, and there's a good bit of Lewandowski collectors out there, so 200 sort of makes sense. Also pop 1 of 1, I'm sure that helps to some degree. This Iniesta Monday Chromo 2002 rookie, PSA 9 goes for 204. That's, again, sort of where you expect those to go. Him and Xavi have both been about 200 for their PSA 9s for a good while. Sometimes they go higher. I think often they go lower, so I think this is a decent sale for sure, but nothing crazy. Monday Chromo PSA 9 Sergio Ramos. I looked this up because you don't see the Monday Chromo Ramoses all that often in these auction blocks, and this actually was really good. Before this, 150, 50, 200, 200, 200, 70, 40, 70, 70, 50. So like during the bottom for this card, it was, pretty available at 50 bucks on auction. Now you're looking at like 4 times that price. So certainly up. To me it feels a little high, but at the same time, it's not like a crazy price, but like for me personally, I'd rather have an Iniesta PSA 9 than a Ramos for sure. But I get it. Different collector bases, different teams, different preferences, whatever it may be. I'm interested in the watchers. We have 38 here and 31 here, so it's actually fairly similar, which is surprising to me at least. 34 Thomas Muller, well, 34 watchers on this Thomas Muller PSA 10. This was down a good bit. If I recall, I think comps on this were like 350, which, you know, he has a few different rookies from this set. I'm pretty sure this is just a Bayern set. So he has, I think, like 3 or 4 different ones, and he has like a 2-piece one. And so there's a lot available for him, which I think is something that depresses his prices a bit. I do like this one. I think my favorite in the set's the foil, but this is also a nice image here. That goes for 204. Next to it, and out of 175, Jade Topps Lamine Yamal, man of the hour, out of 175, goes for 210. Above it, a bubblegum Manchester United that I can't speak too much to here. PSA 4 goes for 222. PSA 9, Germany sticker Lionel Messi for 222 as well. That doesn't strike me as like a crazy sale at all in a world where Messi stuff's going crazy. I know his PSA 10s were lingering anywhere from like 750 to 1500 typically. So a 9 for 220 doesn't seem terrible to me. I take it over this 2009 Monday Chrome and a PSA 9 personally, but to each their own. 10 more, 11 more watchers on that one would indicate there's you know, some more demand for it, but also a Panini World Cup sticker is going to have more supply in totality. So 82 Maradona here goes for 228 in a PSA 7. That's a pretty good grade. Pop 1 of 3, just one higher for that one. And I love the 80s Maradona stuff. I mean, I'm sort of a Maradona simp, I would say, in general, in terms of collectability and whatnot. The hair also is always a fun one, but 220 on that's pretty good. I mean, it's not crazy. These generally aren't some of the more, you know, desirable of the 80s, but it clearly gets a decent price here. Next to it, we have an Adolf Jager, which is out of the 1928 Zuban set. A pretty good set, as always. I always mention the Vintage Discord, a link down below to that. YouTube, since I'm a small creator on YouTube here, they took away my ability to have clickable links until I get verified or something, so you might have to copy that link and then put it in Discord. So if you know how to do that, go ahead and do so. But yeah, so there was a German collector. There's like a German sort of thread in the Discord where a German collector talked about the Zubans. He says they're fairly difficult, but not impossible. This is a player that scored a ton of goals back in the 20s in Germany. Prolific goal scorer. I think he scored like 1,000+ goals, but that's sort of, I guess, not seen as professional at the time. It was still sort of growing, so it's not as respected as maybe, you know, I guess some people might feel. But nonetheless, it does have a little bit of this on the back, which I would imagine is like some sort of collector's signature or something, like their mark, because I actually have one of these on a Zuban that I have, so I found it funny to see it here as well. But these are just lovely images, and definitely a notable player for the era. That gets a decent number there. Next to it, this Cruyff sticker Verloc for 240, which to me felt pretty good. I mean, if you go and look at it, these I feel like have been as low as like 150 to 200 at times in a 1, and this is really OC, like super OC. In the back, I mean, it's, you know, it's legible, it's readable, clearly removed, but nonetheless, felt like a decent price, maybe even a little strong, just generally speaking. But I also feel like it's been a pretty underrated sticker in general. So, you know, just throwing that out there. Now we'll move to page 1, where we start with also something I thought was underrated and modern. Granted, I just feel like most 1-of-1s in modern do better numbers than this. I know it's a Topps base insert, so, you know, it's got a little bit going against it for sure, but a European Knights foil fractor Vinny for 264. Felt like a fun one if you're a Vinny collector. 2022 Jude out of 75 auto, third year there, goes for 276 in a PSA 10. Didn't mean to click that. I didn't actually click it, I just held over it, and ultimately Fanatics just decided that I had to see it. Next to it, another Bane Shield here. This one, a Platt Bridge PSA 2 for 276. Always love seeing the shields in here. Just one of the more fun, iconic, again, there's the word, of the pre-war UK. That's definitely a fan favorite. Then we have Darwin Núñez Obsidian. Not a whole lot to add there. We have a Heinerle Pele SGC 25 for 324. Doesn't strike me as a crazy price by any means. Pele also doesn't get a huge premium in this set compared to the other players. We saw the PSA, well, it was a 2. I don't know if it was PSA, but we saw the Puskás earlier that went for like 150, and then we saw the one Lev Yashin that went for 100. So, you know, grade adjusted and all that good stuff. 324 for Pele isn't a super strong price. Granted, the image isn't as good as some of the other ones, so I get that. We have a Neymar Obsidian auto 4 out of 4 next to it for 336. Above that, an Alifa team photo. They're from Brazil. PSA 3 goes for $360. PSA 6 Maradona Panini sticker for $372. I looked this one up because you sort of see these every now and then. It feels like every few months we'll see, or every month or two we'll see a different grade of these 82, 86 Maradona. So I was interested. $372 on this one, which is up from the last sales. Actually, the second highest sale of this grade. Granted, if you go all the way back here to the bottom, $930 back in 2022. So still down a good bit from that initial sale, but overall trending in the right direction, up $100 from the bottom price there in 2023. Aluminium Mall PSA 8 next to it for $372. Above that, we have this Zahur Johan Cruyff PSA 4 for $372. Pop one of two, none higher, so certainly not all that easy, and a pretty memorable image, at least in my mind. Speaking of memorable images, you also have these two stickers here. Take your pick of the two. Personally, I take the Muller, even though there's multiples in the set. Haaland, to me, I think Mbappe was the last Panini sticker that really means something to me because it's pre any other rookies. I think it has definitely an allure in that sense. The Haaland sort of came out in a different era where he's got numbered stuff, he's got base stuff, he's got tops now, he's got Panini. I mean, he's just got everything. So, for me, I would rather have the Muller, but clearly I think Haaland has the higher ceiling in terms of player. But at the same time, I think the card is in a different sort of sphere at this point. More watchers on the Muller, which is also interesting. I don't know if I necessarily would have expected that, but nonetheless. Nasasi PSA 3 from that previously mentioned Glorietta set goes for $444. I think there were some high sales recently. At least they seem high to me now that I saw some Glorietta sales about a month ago on PWCC/Fanatics, and it seemed to have brought out some of these from other collectors, so that would indicate to me that they were kind of high. A PSA 3 here for $444 feels relatively low. I can't remember what the sale for the Nasasi was before, but I think that this would indicate that the other one was probably high. So just interesting to note that. We saw another one of these go, different grade, I'm pretty sure, but we saw one go recently. This one goes for $444, this 2018 National Convention Pulisic. We talked about this, I don't know when, maybe in the preview last week, but this is a 61 Pele, but also just Brazilian team issue. I saw the back. It looks like it's 3 different cards sort of put together. I'm not quite sure how that works, but it's definitely interesting nonetheless. That goes for $468, pop one of one, none higher. There's the Robin that I mentioned prior. This in a PSA 10 goes for $468, and in terms of sales, this is, I don't know if it's all-time high. No, back during the boom, it hit 504, but this is darn close to an all-time high on this sticker, and certainly up from the bottom. The bottom seemingly somewhere around 300, yeah. Well, 252 actually. So these have been up quite a bit. Also didn't sell for a year and a few months, so I'm guessing that certainly had something to do with it. A couple Aluminium Malls next to it. Take your pick. PSA 10 of his Mega Cracks or the Topps Crystal Premium out of 75. The Mega Cracks is down a little bit. That peaked at like 750, 700, somewhere in that range, down to 528 at the moment. We have a 67 Rivellino, which I'm pretty sure is rookie material for him. I don't know if it's necessarily the desired rookie. It's also graded with CGC. CGC on this type of stuff and just vintage in general is always more prone to grade more things. So, if you see something in a CGC slab you haven't seen before, I'd recommend just digging a little further if you're an interested buyer. But that goes for $630 there. I think he has a 66, but it's like a playing piece from a game that looks like a Pog that was graded. So, it's not like sort of your typical collectible item, generally speaking. Next to it, you got the Messi IP Auto, which we see a lot of these go. This one was shocking, and Messi stuff in general at the moment is just pretty shocking. This goes for $690 for a PSA 6. It is Campio, which is generally a little bit more desirable, but not like getting huge premiums by any means. And this goes for $690, which again is just crazy because during the boom, we're a little bit high there, but not during the boom, but during the bottom, I guess, the opposite of the boom. When we were in the rough days there where people were wondering if people even collect soccer, a PSA 8 could be had at times for like $450 to $600 probably. And so $690 on this is certainly pretty strong. Above it, this unpeeled Ronaldo. I wasn't aware that these needed peeled, but nonetheless, PSA 9 here goes for $840. I looked it up, and this was actually one of the lower sales, which was a little bit surprising. But they're also all raw, so I'm assuming that they're just hard to grade in general. They sort of came out in this is 2021, that's not right, 2024, anywhere, 1,500, 1,300, 1,200, so a little bit over 1,000. This one goes a little under 1,000, so not necessarily a great sale, but interesting to see nonetheless. This is like a 9-piece puzzle that you sort of put together, and it makes a grail with him on different teams, and it's something they've been doing every year, and it's sort of strewn about in different sets, and a fun chase to be had. Next to a Jude Kaboom here for nearly 1,000 there. Of course, people love their Kabooms in the modern day, so that one's going for a good bit. Next to it, a PSA 3.5 Gazetta for 930 from none other than Pele. An album cutout from like a record album. We've talked about that in the past for sure. Probably one of the lesser desirable Peles, but it does look good. Like the eye appeal on it's nice, but the origin is probably the thing that people gripe about the most with that one. 2008 Monday Chromo, PSA 10 doing a lot of work here. This goes for 930, pop 1 of 10. PSA 5 Swedish Garincha and Pele. This is a record which is hand cut from a magazine, but was designed to be hand cut from a magazine. And this is a PSA 5 that goes for 960. In terms of comps, I did look it up, but I guess I closed it because it wasn't all that relevant and there wasn't a ton to look at. In terms of these before, the panel version with both of them has sold much higher than the single Pele version. The single Pele version was closer to 500, 600. The panel's a bit higher, close to 8 or 9, so this was a decent sale. Speaking of decent sale, this was also a good one. This is the 5.5 R9 promo. Last one actually sold really recently, just a couple months back for 810. This one goes for nearly 1,000. In the past, 840 in 2023, and then 1,500 and 1,100. So sort of in the middle in terms of sales that we've seen. Keeping it moving. Lamine Yamal and Messi's in this row. We have the Immaculate, and we have a Winter Select field level camo out of 99. Take your pick of the two. I'm pretty sure, again, I'm not a modern savant anymore. I used to be much more in the know. But I still get stuff ancillarily through scrolling IG and looking at people's pages and stuff. Soccer Cards HQ does a great job. I'm pretty sure I've seen them gripe about Immaculate and them having rookie card shields on there where it's not really relevant and they actually make it a bit late. They did the same thing with Holland in 2020, and I'm pretty sure this is the same thing. Personally, I'd still rather take the Immaculate just because I don't have faith in the soccer community and modern distinguishing between what is true rookie and what's not. And I think that these companies give... Or they just have such leeway to make and do whatever they please. And just as long as they put the year on there or as long as it's recognized as that, I think, and it has a rookie shield, people just, eat it up. So I'd take the Lamine Yamal Ruby out of 19. I actually think that doesn't seem like a crazy price. In a world where I think most everything Lamine Yamal seems crazy, that one seems pretty palpable, at least to my eyes. Next to it, BGS9 Campio here, or it might be Campione, I'm not sure. You never know. I don't know if Fanatics labeled this right, so I'm not going to take their listing at face value. But nonetheless, BGS9 goes for about 1,100, which isn't crazy. A lot of the Messi PSA stuff is running. It doesn't feel as much that the BGS is. And also, it seems like certain cards are running, but certain cards aren't. I don't know. When you see a PSA 6 go for 700 and this goes for 1,100 and a 9, it's just kind of crazy. But at the same time, you could say, well, this is white, this is blue. People like the blue more than the white. But right above it, we got the green for basically the same price. And people like the green. So, yeah, I think this one was really cheap. I think the green was a good price if you're a buyer, more than likely. Speaking of good price, this Titularis at 1,100 was a super strong price. Now, it is a really good-looking 1.5, so I think that plays a factor for sure. If you go look at it, the eye appeal is pretty much off the charts. I mean, the colors are good. The registration's pretty good. The centering's okay for Titularis. We'll see another one later that's really rough. The back actually even looks good. So I just think all around it's a pretty good 1.5 for sure. Might have a little something there. I'm sure there's paper loss, I would imagine, and that's what did it for this. But, I mean, that's a really nice looking 1.5. But I think it also got a strong price, which would sort of indicate that. A Color Blast Heung-min Sun for 1,100. We'll see another Heung-min Sun in a bit that sold really good. I think that this just, sort of like Pulisic to some extent, I think that, you just see the pricing surge on players that have a ton of collectability behind them because there's a country behind them. I think clearly that, has a big impact. When English collectors can collect anyone in the Premier League, the dollar is a lot more spread out when compared to, overseas Asian collectors buying Heung-min Sun. or American collectors buying Pulisic, whatever it may be, the factors at play are a little different for sure. Seems like the storm is, sort of let up here, but we'll keep it moving. Cristiano Ronaldo Immaculate goes for $1,200 there. Sticker auto, presumably non-affiliated patch, but I can't speak for certain. We have a Lamine Yamal Peacock insert here for $1,300. There was a lot of discussion, again, link down below to the vintage Discord, of this Beckenbauer blue and red back. The blue and red back, for those unaware, this is released within the 1970 Panini album. The blue and red backs are the sort of starter stickers you get in the album. There's 4 of them in a panel, and basically no one's ever seen the Beckenbauer in a panel just by itself. So the theory that people are sort of throwing out there is that this is rebacked, that someone took a blue and red back and put it on this and made it into a blue and red back, because no one's ever seen the panel itself. And for most everyone else, people have seen them in panels. This one seems out of line, at least to what other people are saying. I can't speak for certain, and maybe we just haven't seen a panel by some improbability. But certainly, something to take note of. Also, CGC slab would, indicate maybe something's going on. If you see big stickers in CGC, I would just always, make sure you know what you're looking at. But $1,500 there certainly is strong, and I could understand it if this was like a short print, really rare, hard to find one. But if it's rebacked, that's certainly a strong price for sure. Gold Mojo Estavio out of 10 goes for $1,500 and a PSA 10. This Youngman's Son, again, sort of speaking to what we just saw earlier. The Cyrillic PSA 10 goes for $1,600. I was wondering about this, and I looked up Mbappe. And Mbappe's recent Cyrillic, there was a raw that sold for $2,100 and a BGS 9.5 that sold for $2,700. So to me, that's really close. Granted, this is a PSA 10 pop 1 of 1, so it's different dynamics, but this is a super short print. I think it's out of like 15 or 20 from 2018 Prism. It's a case hit, and there's a huge checklist, of course, on the Prism World Cup sets, so really hard to find. And to see that close to an Mbappe is pretty, it's either impressive for Heung-min Son or depressing for the Mbappe side of things. I'm not quite sure. This is the Titularis that's pretty OC that I was referencing earlier. This PSA 4 goes for $2,100, which I don't think is out of line. We've seen similar grades around this price. Given how OC it is, I'm sure that puts some people off and definitely doesn't help. The back seems okay, some coloring going on there, which I'm not quite sure in what that is in reference to. Maybe it just could be this on the front lingering to the back, not quite sure. Looks like he's got like a lot of lipstick there, but nonetheless, very OC, you'd have to imagine. Other than that, the card looks pretty good. I will say the bottom left corner is a little eaten up, but interesting nonetheless. Probably, certainly not an eye appeal sticker, doesn't get one here, but the pricing, I think, also reflects that. Moving on up, a couple Peles here, 2 Aquarellos PSA 2 for $2,100 each. I find the color difference on those to be sort of stark. One of them, the one on the right, seems like it has more saturation, but the one on the left seems like it has better colors just in general. I don't know, it's kind of weird. Both blue backs as well, which is interesting. Personally, I take the Titularis in a 4 every day over the Aquarellos, but I understand the Aquarellos have a bit more eye appeal to them. They're sort of more regular card size. They're not horizontal, so there's a lot of things that do speak to this one and why it's so popular. Next to it, a Topps Chrome Messi out of 99 green goes for $3,100, PSA 10 with a 10 auto as well. A couple more, Messi light autos up here. Lamine Yamal out of 99 laser goes for $4,800, and a Lamine Yamal Topps Stadium Club Chrome Gold goes for $5,600. Smack dab in between 120 watchers, which is just crazy. But also crazy is the price. $5,000 for PSA 5 Messi. That is certainly a talking point and one that people have been talking about online, or at least one of many. The BIS has been just discussed to death. This is sort of why, if we look over the last 2 years, we're starting at 2.2K. We get as low as 1.8 last summer, and then now 5,000. So from the 1.8 range, you're looking at like 150% increase. And that's pretty crazy. This says last sale was 4K, but clearly it was 5. So Card Ladder's just taking a little bit of time there. So, it says 4K up on top. I guess it says 5K here. So I don't know. Nonetheless, definitely moving a lot. Some people are throwing out the bubble word, and it's interesting for sure. I think it's probably too much too quick. But we're still a year out from the World Cup, so you wonder, is there more tread in the tire? I do definitely think that at some point, when the World Cup comes. There will be a supply surge. When that point is, I'm not sure. The all-time low apparently was 1,300 during 2022 World Cup, which sort of speaks to what I was just talking about. All-time high is 8K back in 2021. And other than that, spring 2021 times, the highest it was 4,300. So this, other than the absolute peak of soccer, is about as high as we've ever seen, which is certainly interesting and has spilled over into many other things at this point. So that is definitely something of note. People are using the word bubble, and I certainly can understand it. And me personally, as someone that owns a 71 bis in a pretty good grade, I'm not running to sell it necessarily. Also, I think only owning one probably puts me a little bit more in a tough position where I do want to have it. I think it's a key card, but I do think the increases are pretty significant, and I could totally understand locking in some gains and moving somewhere else if you so please. But surprisingly, we haven't seen like a horde of these come out. We haven't seen the mass dump happen yet. I don't know if we will soon or how this is going to play out, but it'll be interesting to see nonetheless. 5K there, very, very strong. Another strong sale up here. This is the top three for the week. We got a 9.5 Este, which, with BGS stickers, this was a talk in the Vintage Discord again, but you always have to be sort of weary on the waviness of stickers in BGS slabs and CGC slabs. Their inner sleeve, the way it sits, just kind of gets a little wavy, and because stickers are so flimsy and thin and fragile, they then wave with it, and so they're no longer just flat, straight stickers. Now, you might be able to amend that if you crack them out and fix them. I've never sort of experimented with that, but I would imagine it would seem at least possible, but, I'm not quite sure. In terms of the pricing, though, 6,600 here, not as many watchers, only 71. But when we go look at past sales, first, this is an example of one that you can clearly tell that there's waves. I'll try to move. Well, that's the wrong item. There you go. I moved it over. But like on this one, for example, you can clearly tell the waviness happening. If you look at the bottom of the sticker, you can see it go up and then down and then up and then down and then up. And so you can, get an idea of what it would look like from the side where it's certainly wavy. But I mean, some of them look better than others. From my understanding, it almost happens with a lot of these BGS slabs, so it's hard to avoid, really. In terms of comps, 6,600 here. Last sale was earlier this month for 4,200 on eBay. Of course, subgrades matter. I'm not sure what those look like necessarily. Actually, same subgrades, so, I mean, that's a 2.2K gain within the month. Before this, 5K, 3.5, 3.5. It bottomed at 1.85 in 2023, so up massively. This also has no subgrades and also looks kind of wavy, but again, hard to avoid that. From the bottom of about 2K, though, it is up over 200%, which again, people throw out the word bubble. Me personally, I really think the Este is sort of like the sleeping giant of the messy rookie market. We had the fake scare there for a small bit of time, mostly in SGC and CGC slabs. But BGS and PSA both did a pretty good job throughout it, which is surprising because BGS usually does horrible. But 6.6K, very strong, and I think still a sticker with some run on it. At the end of the day, I don't know if it's necessarily something that's going to run this year, but I think long-term it's definitely a sticker I like a lot. And Black Tops Chrome Messy Refractor Auto, out of 10, PSA 10 as well, goes for 8,400 there. We've seen some of the higher-end autos from this set for Messy go around 10K. And out of 10, PSA 10 certainly sort of fits that mold, and this goes for near that price as well. And then finally, the 1/1 Erling Haaland and R9 sticker auto duel from Topps Finest. And certainly a cool card. Obviously, I always sort of just warn and worry personally about the fact that these can be infinitely created, just having sticker autos slapped together on some foil. It's something that can be reproduced, but at the end of the day, it is like a chase card from this set for these players, so I can certainly understand if someone wants to go after it, why they'd want to go after it. Does it feel strong? Yeah, I mean, a little bit. We've seen what has happened to some of the other 1/1 duels and triples that resell. They usually don't do great after the first sale, but they also probably shouldn't be sold that quick after the first one. So, I don't know. I think on this stuff, I always just sort of envision eventually like on-card autos of this happening, and when those happen, I don't think these will bode as well, but ultimately if these are going to people that want them at these prices, who am I to say otherwise? So that tops the list this week. I think it's it's not, it definitely isn't the first time we've seen a duel top the list, but actually it might be. We've had triples. That might be the first duel. I'm not sure. But nonetheless, we go to 185 in next week's auction block. a trio of Prism colors here, and I'm sure those are probably going to do well as well. We've already seen this Messi at 3.4K, this Messi at 1.7, and this Ronaldo at 1,000. Beyond that, a 32 Andrade PSA 4, good grade there. We have a 1960 Dida and Pele. Certainly, I would imagine a rare Pele to be up that high that quick. Definitely not one that comes to mind for me. Color Blast Lamine Yamal. Some gold 2014 Prisms, which we haven't seen much of those in these auctions. Messi on card, Tim Weah 1 of 1, more 1 of 1s. Gold Prism, 1 of 1s. Definitely seems like a modern heavy week next week, but I am looking forward to it nonetheless. As for me this week, this is where we'll call it. And as always, if you enjoyed the episode, do make sure to leave a like. Helps me help the channel. Would love to hear your thoughts down below in regard to anything you saw today. And if you want some more videos like this as soon as we go live, make sure to subscribe. But with that said, hopefully you have a wonderful day, and peace.